Welcome to Look, Listen, Laugh. Now, my guest this episode is a titan in the world of magic. Not only as a performer, having performed with the Illusionists from Broadway to around the world, he's also an amazing inventor and creator, having created some of the most iconic routines in the world of magic, being performed by David Copperfield. In fact, majority of magicians that you would have seen in the last 30 years most likely would have performed one of Kevin's routines. I've known Kevin for over 25 years and always enjoy spending time in his company. I'm looking forward to delving into his favorite album, film, and book. So enjoy my conversation with Kevin James. So Kevin, it is great to see you.
Are you rolling now?
Yeah, we're rolling now. Yes, we are. It's very kind of casual, this. We don't have the big... I pre-record an introduction, which everyone will have already heard.
Okay.
And then we just, we get into it. But we were just talking about the old days and when I used to work for the amazing Jonathan. And that's how you and I know each other from a whole nother lifetime ago, over 25 years ago. And from the old days down at the Golden Nugget.
Sure.
And the... Sahara and all of those casinos.
Great memories.
Yeah. You always stood out in my mind as one of the class acts. You know, like one of the, you know what performers are like. There's a lot of baggage that comes with a lot of a lot of it. But you were always so professional. You came in, you killed on stage. You got the job done, and it was always easy to from my perspective to work with you. From as one of it's kind of interesting too when you see all the different sort of styles of magic and stuff. And I'm not just saying this because you said yes to the podcast. You know that I think very highly of you, and I've said this to you before. I look at there's a lot of magicians out there. And a lot of them are great, but a lot of magicians, my view, are like tribute acts. Same magic material, the same words that you could see on the instructions, or from a book of patter.
Right.
But you're one of those real rarities in the magic world and performance in general that elevates it beyond everything else everyone's doing, and you become the person that people end up emulating. It's like the stuff that you have created has become common within the magic community. That's how good it is, from the floating rose to the snowstorm effect, to even stuff that's gone beyond the magic community, like the severed hand. Like for anyone that's watching or listening to this, you'll know Kevin's work around the world, from the hand that would hold a
amputated arm.
You're
holding it by the wrist, and it's animating.
Right. And that was like, I knew of that when I was a kid back in Australia. You'd see it in toy stores and all over. But unfortunately, that was something that was ripped off, and that you had no real control over at the end of the day.
That's life.
Yeah. But see, that's a great attitude, though, to have that, like, rather than feeling sort of embittered or like.
I went through those.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I went through all those feelings, but. Realized in the end that, stay positive, and I can create new stuff, and they can't. So.
And I've never asked you this before, but where did that mindset come from to be able to create, like, you not only like do a variation on a trick, but create whole new tricks and be able to come at it from a whole different angle?
Yeah. So. I find ideas in all sorts of places. I don't really have a formula. It's, I find inspiration from music or from literature or movies or, just everyday life. And I try to wake up curious about the world. And I have a sense of expectation that I'm going to find something today that's going to be really interesting, that maybe I can massage into something that goes in the show. And there's so many things that I just take for granted that I don't know how they work. I don't know how my iPhone works. I mean, it's a box of magic to me,
Sure.
But I just trust it, and but certain things, like how does a light switch work? Well, take it apart and look. Try to fill your mind with all sorts of things, not just magic books, but other stuff, and And then my work now seems to be more towards problem solving. You know, like I'm working on a section of the show, and I have to get from this point to this point, and how do I transition or get it from here to here? And so I'll create something new that works as a transition piece.
Segue into
Yeah,
right.
you know, and so, or I'll see, I'm big on history, and I luckily we have a rich history of magic in the English-speaking world, and so I have a lot of old magic books, and I just comb through them, and it's like mining for gold, because these people before us were amazing magicians, and if you're lucky enough, they stuck it in a book, and that's kind of a little breadcrumb for the future magicians to come along and find that nugget,
Sure.
and then update it, and new technologies available, and change things around and make it relevant for today. And but it's a starting point. It gives you a place to, oh, that's a good idea, but I don't like that about it, and so let's update it to this, and change the story to this, and my operation trick, the cutting in half thing. Cutting in half was invented in 1922. And it didn't look anything like what my trick looks like. It's it's just a matter of, you can take a classic and then completely flip it on its head and try to. And the thing that Copperfield, I think, brought to the table more than anything, he doesn't like truly invent a new trick, but he researches. Like, he'll say, I want the best sawing in half, or I want the best levitation, and he'll get a team of people to study every sawing in half that's ever been done, and he'll like, oh, okay, that's a little cool thing from there, that's a little cool thing from there, that's a cool thing, and then he'll smush it together and kind of create this uber routine, and he's not restricted by size or money, so something great comes out of it.
Yeah. It's interesting when you say like the sawing in half, because that's a lot of people think, in magic, how do they do the sawing in half? That's always a staple in the world of magic. But for you then to take it to a whole nother level where there's no boxes involved here.
There's 100 ways to do it.
Yeah, right. And the fact that you're doing it, like, you're taking away the box, you're taking away all the traditional side of it and creating something that's like, the first time I ever saw that, I was like, what the fuck, what am I watching here? This is
Thanks.
I'd never seen it. And then the attention to detail too, because you're just seeing the top half of a guy who's on his arms standing up, and he goes over to the side, but then, I'm a sucker for details, but then I'm seeing, you see the internal parts of the organs and intestines on the side. It's like, like that could have been easily just blacked out or whatever, but the attention to detail in your work, it's
funny that you bring that up, because I had to make a decision when I was designing it. Do I go bloody?
Yeah.
Like really gory? Because it can be shocking and be really gory, but then you're going to wash your costumes every show,
You're leaving marks all over the stage and props.
Yeah, there's kids in the audience.
Yes.
Do you want to make it, you still want it shocking, but I still want it kind of tongue-in-cheek so that the kids can watch it. It's like a cartoon when somebody gets injured in a cartoon.
Yeah.
So it's, you have to make those decisions when you're, I could sure gore it up for Halloween or something, but I made a specific decision not to go in that direction.
The way that Jonathan would have gone.
Sure. Or Ricciardi, or this guy Ricciardi from Peru was one of my heroes.
Yeah.
And he did a buzz saw, so like a big circular saw that you would cut a log with, or big lumber, and he invited. He put his daughter on the thing, and on a table, and he runs, and she's wearing white, he's wearing white. He's got a white cloth that goes up the background, just kind of a operation kind of scene. And he runs her through, and you see blood splatter up the background.
Really?
Yeah, and you see blood all over him, and then you see like these intestines kind of lop out and flop on the floor, and then that's the end of the first half, and he invites the audience to come up if you want, to walk up and get a close-up of that. Walk up and have a look at it, and then walk back down. So for the whole intermission, you have people coming up and going, "Yeah, those are real intestines," And he doesn't bring her back.
Not in the second half at all. That's it.
They wheel her off, and that's it. Yeah, yeah. He doesn't bring her back.
Yeah, that's great. Just leave everyone. What? That's it?
Yeah.
God, that's a lot of assistance.
Yeah.
But you see, the thing that I always loved about your act as a whole is you would have stuff that would be confronting like that, like just shock, like the magic was great, but then the shock value on top of it. But then you could do something so elegant and beautiful, like the floating rose. That's just one of the greatest magic tricks out there. That's like, which has been done, by Copperfield, by countless,
I heard somebody say one time that the floating rose is the one trick that stays in Copperfield's show longest than any of his tricks.
Yep.
And here's a guy that does huge, amazing, incredible things and performs 15 shows a week for the last 40 years. And he tries to take it out, but then he can't really find anything that gets the same reaction.
Sure.
So he puts it back in, and it's really consistently stayed in his show.
Yeah, you're right. Like from when I saw him back in the 90s through, till recent, the rose has always been a staple.
So he likes it.
Yeah. And it's a great piece. But not only with that, the emotional level too that's drawn in when you do the snowstorm. There's an emotional investment that you feel as an audience member in what you're doing. So just the dynamics, like you've got so many different dynamics to the performance.
I think I'm trying to find a different emotion for each piece. I don't really want to be the same song every effect.
Sure.
I want to have like a little roller coaster, and something shocking, something's nostalgic, something's sweet and innocent. Like with the rose, it was kind of funny. The evolution of the rose was. I used to use like a 20-something girl on stage as my assistant out of the audience, and they always seemed kind of unsure of themselves on stage. They were worried how their hair looks, or is this guy trying to pick up on me? And I'm not really a Rico Suave kind of character like David can pull off,
Yeah, sure.
And so, they're always like, there's some sort of nervous sexual tension there that I really didn't ask for.
Yeah.
And then one time, I'm performing, and it's all older people in the audience. So I go, "Hey, Grandma, come on," and I get like a 70-year-old lady up there, and then she does the same thing. I do the routine exactly the same, but it just changed the whole vibe.
Sure.
I mean, it became really beautiful. Like how often, at the end of the routine, this paper flower that's levitating right in front of her, it flashes into fire, and I reach in, pull out a real flower, and give it to her. And how often does your grandmother get a flower?
Yeah.
It was just gorgeous.
Yeah.
And it just changed. It took the energy to a whole different direction.
Sure.
And it was lovely. And then, but we're talking 10 years between
having that realization.
Yeah, before I tried it with an older lady.
Yeah.
And then another 5 years later, I go, you know what? Let's try it the other direction. So I'm in a show called The Illusionists, and we had really great technical support. High def cameras in the audience and huge LED screens on stage, and so I could go into the audience and do it in the middle of the crowd.
Right in front of them, yeah.
So now the background is all the people in the audience sitting 2 feet away from me and going, you get their faces,
yes.
and they're like, how is that possible? And so I tried it with a 6 years old, 7 is about the right age for this to get the right reaction. I've experimented with different ages, and as soon as they start to get into a teen, they start
self-conscious
to get
again.
Yeah. And if they're too young, they don't really know what's going on. So
Sure.
So right there, six is about right. And so I kneel down. So now I'm on their level, right? And the camera's zooming in. You get all these people in the background. you say, we're going to try something special, but out here in the middle of the audience. And so you get her to open the paper, and then it does a little animation segment where the paper ball is dancing around, and then I give her the power. I basically get her to wiggle her finger to try to make it work. And so she does, and the camera zoomed in on her face, and when she does, at 6, she really thinks she's doing it. Okay? So that's the money shot right there.
Sure.
Is she goes, you know, like, I'm doing it, you know? And the whole audience, you just feel the electricity go through the crowd at that moment. And she's like, you know, and then I open it up, she takes a big bow, and she thinks it's great. Twist it into a flower, and it floats, and then changes to a real flower. Get her to take a big bow, you know, and say, you know, we need more female magicians in this business, and give her a big round of applause.
Right.
And I hope she remembers it the rest of her life, you know. And it's funny because I've got a bit in there that was kind of discovered by the first time I tried the routine with an older lady. Is So I'm in control of the little paper ball, right?
Yeah.
And I'm getting her to wiggle it, and for some reason I paused a little bit, and it wasn't working for her, right? And she's like, this guy's gonna screw me. I know he's gonna screw me. So then she takes her other hand and goes with 2 fingers, right?
Nice.
Got a huge laugh,
That's
right?
great.
and then it started to work, and she got a big laugh, and I go, well, we're keeping that in the show.
Yeah.
So now I get the little girl. It doesn't work, and then I go, try 2 fingers, you know, under my breath to her.
Nice.
And then she does it, and it
kills. Yeah. But that's great. That's tremendous that you just broke that down, deconstructed that routine, because the majority of people, you know, that in an audience or in general approaching a trick wouldn't think of the multi-levels to enhance the actual trick. It's one thing to practice it, get it down, but all those other dynamics that you just explained is what makes it you performing it such a great version and a great effect.
Well, thanks. It's packed small.
Yeah.
Closest thing to a comedian that I can get.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
We're jealous of you guys.
Just turn
we're
up.
in the warehouse. It's got a bunch of junk here.
Yeah. In case anyone's wondering, we are in Kevin's huge warehouse here in Vegas, and it's but it's such a well-organized warehouse, as I was saying before. Like compared to other warehouses that I've seen that have been just an array, like, you know, a mess. But that's one thing watching you on stage. Like for me, whenever I watch you work, I go, I'm in good hands. This is well thought out. You know, I know that no stone's been left unturned here. What I'm seeing is the best version that I'm going to see of this performance. You know, it's for me watching that. You know, I really appreciate that in any art form, whether it be magic, comedy, dance. You know.
Well, what I hope they feel is that I hope they feel that I'm still having fun with it, and I still enjoy it.
Yeah. You never feel that you're calling it in.
Yeah.
You know, that's although, you know, when you're on tour, like, you know, I would imagine like with the Illusionists, you're performing multiple shows a day, days in, days out in these big concert halls and theaters around the world. Like, it is easy just to go, all right, here we go, doing it again. Yeah. But to keep it fresh is that's a major part of the you know, the appeal of it.
You know, the fun part about the Illusionists is that you know, we usually have an MC that's a comedian,
right?
Like a Jeff Hobson or a David Williamson or somebody like that. And for me, just watching them, I mean, they're the only acts that really have. Well, I have audience participation too, where, you know, you never know what somebody's going to do in the middle of a routine. But those guys, you know, they bring somebody up and they're really free with the handling of a spectator, and you know, Williamson gets 4 kids on stage, and my God, it's a different show every day. You know, you know.
Yeah, they like, dictate where this is going to go.
It's like, you know, wrangling, you know,
cats.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
So it's so much fun just to stand in the wings and watch how they handle different situations. And because you're seeing it every day, you can really go, oh, he tried a pause there, or he tried this, that. You know, he's really massaging the details, you know, so it's you can really see a pro work on it, you know.
And would you get sort of signals from that going, all right, this is the kind of crowd we're dealing with tonight or today, so that when you hit the stage, okay, I know the dynamic of what this.
They're all pretty good. They've paid money to come see a good magic show.
Yeah.
And they're going to get it.
Yeah, yeah.
So we haven't really had many bad crowds.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, luckily.
That's good. What about when you've got to do like corporate and stuff, because that's a whole nother ball game, right? Like for me, I find, right, I'm the outsider here coming in.
Yeah.
And,
that can be soul killing.
Oh yeah. yeah. It's because well, I guess for you, you've got the magic, so you go, hey, I'm a magician. For me, when I'm out there doing comedy, like, it's obvious if they're not going for it, in terms of a corporate crowd.
Sure.
And even with like Amazing Jonathan, like he would kill, like he would destroy. Man, I was at some gigs with him that were corporates where, it was start the car, that kind of atmosphere.
I find those situations have so many variables that are not necessarily in our favor.
Right.
Like they've had too much to drink. The show starts too late. They're half drunk. Or you're fighting with the meal service.
Oh, how's that? That's the worst. Like I've got in my contract, I won't go on if they're eating. But sometimes you're doing an award night or something, and they're like, you got to get on because we got the fireworks outside happening at this time. And you go in and it's just a sea of people with their backs to you, clinking cutlery. It's like the cricket. It's the culinary equivalent of crickets. You deliver a joke and you just hear this clink, 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 clink.
Yeah. And it's funny. I did a show for Halloween one year on Fremont Street in Vegas.
Oh, really?
They have 3 stages.
Yeah.
And I was on one of the stages, and it's a very weird situation out there because, you've got the public out there and they're all holding a beer.
That's applause out the window.
Yeah, right. So you have to train them to cheer or clap. They can't clap. So let me hear you. So they scream or shout or whatever. So you have to retrain them. It's very bizarre.
And meanwhile, you've got the nosebleed from the other stage that has a band on down the other side of Fremont.
Something happened on Fremont where I was in the middle of the show, and backstage. So I didn't know this happened until the show was over. Some 400-pound guy dressed in a toga comes up the back of the stage, backstage, show's in progress.
Yeah.
And my son, Bruno, he's like, excuse me, can I help you? We're in the middle of a show.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I'm Jesus Christ, and I'm here to tell the world, about me.
Sure.
He's like, well, my friend, you got to go back down that ramp and start down there. And he had to call security to get him to remove the guy.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't know that this happened until afterwards.
God, you would think the second coming would be a lot more glamorous. Backstage on Fremont Street, man. Come on, Jesus, figure out. Yeah, location.
We've seen everything.
How long have you been in Vegas?
Close to 30 years.
30 years. So you've seen the transitions throughout Vegas.
Yeah. I came when I got a steady job in a production show. I was in a show called Splash at the Riviera.
Oh yeah, sure.
And
so you were the variety act in Splash.
One of them.
Yeah.
Shimada left, and then they hired me to take his spot. And I think Wally Eastwood was the other act in the show.
Right.
And I think a tap dance group. And it was a fun way to learn about Vegas.
Sure. Well, and that was an because that was mid-90s.
Yeah.
So that was it was still holding on to some of the old school traditions.
Yeah, you don't find it anymore.
Yeah, I know that. I see that. It's such a shame, because I'm very nostalgic, about those who have come before and the times before, and just for me, the first time I came to Vegas was '97,
okay,
and just seeing the difference, I was talking to a friend the other day who he grew up in Vegas, lived here his whole life, and he's like, I was always proud to say Vegas. I'm from Vegas. He goes, I don't say that anymore. I don't feel it anymore about this town.
I know what he's feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's on so many levels. I always felt like back in that day, like, you know, when you had the big guys running the show, like the Kurt Kerkorians and Steve Wynns, who were visionaries for what Vegas should be, or the experience of what Vegas should be. Of course, we all know it all came down to money and gambling. But on top of that, though, was an experience that was created. So when you walked in, or before you even walked in the door of a casino, you know, the experience had begun.
Right.
And just the way that you were looked after, and yeah, it just seems, you know, the bean counters have come in now, and every turn you make, you're getting screwed somewhere, you know?
Yeah.
Like even just basic things like parking. I remember I used to hop from all the different casinos, and you know, when they used to have the Virgin Megastore at Caesars, I would find a park there and the secret way through the side door to get in and into the Forum shops. And you know, you'd catch up. Oh, where do you want to catch up? Oh yeah, I'll meet you wherever. I'll meet you over at the Desert Inn. You know, just drive in, park the car. You don't. But now just that you know, it'd be like $150 trip if you did a few casinos. You know,
cheaper to Uber.
Yeah. Yeah, and like the whole thing, like the service, like with the valet and the bellboys, and then you hear about, you know, the casinos letting go of their valets and bellboys, and you know, concierge and people that were really, you know, I used to think they were instrumental to the experience, you know, of getting into a casino.
Customer service.
Yeah, and like you hear about like $26 for a bottle of Fiji water at Aria, like nuts.
Yeah, people are stopped coming.
Yeah.
And they will.
And that's what I hear. Like this summer, you hear that the attendances are way down.
Yeah.
So you figure
20%.
Yeah, 20% is it? And that's a lot like, for Vegas to be down 20%. So you got to hope that, you know, at some point they change it up and you know,
get a clue.
Yeah. And like even in the restaurants, like at the $45 if you want to sit by the window on top of your bill per person at a table at the Eiffel Tower at Paris.
Unbelievable.
Like, when back in the day, like when you would have arrived, it just would have, you know, everything was comped, everything was looked after, and you would like. This always stood out of my mind at the top of the amazing Jonathan, when I worked for him at the Golden Nugget, hated going to meetings. So it'd be like, Joel, this is what I want you to do. You tell them to go fuck themselves. And, you know, if I don't have that billboard up on the corner of Tropicana, tell them that I'm fucking walking.
Right.
Use those words. So I'd sit in the meeting. I'm there in the boardroom at the top of the Nugget with the head of Maurice, the hotel president, Joe, the head of entertainment, and the head of marketing and advertising. I'm like this kid at the end of the table making demands on Jonathan's behalf, rewording it. They're like, Jonathan is very displeased, you know, let's find a mutual ground. Like, we're selling out every show. Everyone's making a lot of money here, so let's figure out a way that everyone's kept happy, you know. And I put myself in there, like, what would they be thinking, seeing me at the end of the table making these demands on Jonathan's behalf? And then Jonathan's like, you told me to go fucking, yeah, Jonathan, yeah, we got the billboard, it's all good, you know. but it was interesting being in one of those meetings with, in the early show was David Brenner.
Okay.
And, you know, and I remember David Brenner, like, you know, even in Australia I knew who David Brenner was. You know, he was like hosting the Tonight Show, like big name in comedy. And I just remember him in the meeting, and his numbers, they weren't going so great. But he was saying that the badges, the buttons that the dealers and the cocktail waitresses wear, which is an old Vegas thing to have the button promoting the show. And he said that really helps with numbers, you know, and you've taken the buttons away, and I've noticed the numbers aren't as strong as they were. I remember the president just going, don't you think it's kind of tacky, David? Buttons? Come on. You know, and I'm just thinking, man, you got this legend of, not only of comedy, but of American entertainment being talking down to like this. And afterwards, I remember David saying, you want to grab a coffee? And I went and sat down with him. He goes, look, you can say what you want about the mob, but at least they gave you some respect in this town.
Yeah. They make you rent the room now. I mean, they don't participate anymore in making it a success.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
So is it like a four-wall now? Or how is it?
Every place is a four-wall.
So you've got to, you take the risk, basically.
Take the risk, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. And it's interesting, like back in the day, like I've noticed how the word headliner in this town has changed a lot. Because like back in the day, you know, you'd drive down the strip and you knew who was headlining. You would see the marquee outside the venue. That's the headliner. Now everything's just, and that was like the big showroom and the main event. There was importance put on the entertainment. Right. And nowadays it seems in Vegas it's like, it's like all these sporadic, different, smaller rooms and stuff. And it's like, you're on your own. Figure it out for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like the casino don't really get behind, and, you know, the limo ain't waiting at the airport anymore to bring you
Right.
to your suite and,
Right.
you know, have your daily per diem and your... I even had a per diem. You know, Jonathan had his, you know, big per diem, but yeah, I could eat in all the restaurant, living in the casino, and
Yeah, that
you
was
know.
great.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad that I sort of experienced that tail end of it.
Sure.
But for you, like, you would have been staying at the Riviera when they brought you out, was it? Is that
No,
how it worked?
I had an apartment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Which is probably smarter, you know, keep that sanity away from the casino.
Yeah. I don't want to live there, but
But are you a gambler? Have you
Never.
No, likewise.
you know, I opened for a lot of people, and
Yeah.
like Louis Anderson.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I saw him
Louis.
lose 30 grand one night at a casino.
Oh,
Just like,
shit. Yeah, but
like,
yeah,
like-
that's
like
a good
just-
lesson right
just
there.
dropping it, and I'm like, I can't do that.
What have I done? Oh wow, yeah, yeah. But I never had the desire out of the gates. You
Right.
know, it's like, yeah, all of that stuff that Vegas, like, you know, all of the drill. I don't drink, so that was never an issue.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I learned not to do drugs, but from observing some people close in my life.
Sure.
You know, and yeah, so it was like all of those elements. I always felt, oh well, then Vegas isn't that detrimental to my well-being.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. But they have a good airport. That's why I've stayed.
yeah.
I could get to the airport in 20 minutes.
Sure. Yeah, McCarran, which is now Reed Airport. It used to be McCarran, right? Yeah.
Until they found out he was a racist.
Oh, really? Oh, you're out. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that's But yeah, that airport was, and it's still easy to get to, even with the traffic. Because I know traffic is worse in Vegas than it was back in the day, right?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's still not close to LA.
Yeah. Man, LAX. Yeah, this is more like the Bob Hope Airport.
Yeah.
In comparison.
Yeah.
And especially for you, because you're on the road so much, zipping in and out. That's a big factor.
Yeah. It's pretty easy for me. Usually they have a truck come and pick up the stuff, and I just fly with my personal stuff. So.
And when you're flying, you don't have to worry about your equipment's all pre-sent. It's all
done by truck.
Yeah. And it's like I was saying before, these road cases are impressive. You know, they're well traveled by, obviously, with the labels and what have you, but they're still in good nick, in good condition.
Yeah. Yeah. They're heavy.
Yeah.
So, air freight's going to be pricey, but ground freight's still okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
But the great thing too is you can travel though light and do you could do a show just with bringing in a small suitcase.
Yeah, or a couple of suitcases.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, a couple. Yeah. Which was always like, I remember with Amazing Jonathan when he had the whole when he went through a kind of messy divorce,
Right.
and when it was just him and me, just the two of us on the road, two of us and Billy McComb.
Right.
So we were like a real misfit group,
Yeah,
you know.
circus isn't down.
Yeah. I'm like the grandson. Billy's like the father, the grandfather, and Jonathan, and three of us were like a motley crew turning up to venues.
Yeah.
But it was at that time Jonathan was like, Jonathan and I would be working in the garage at Marina Del Rey, working on developing new tricks and the show just grew, And I remember he bought the Snowstorm off of you, so
Right.
we were touring with all of that.
Right.
And so I'm crawling through ceilings, hooking up equipment, and we had a video screen with it. So it was like 8 cases. We were traveling, checking it in curbside. So it was.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. But it's funny, just listening to you talk before about the different influences and how you wanted to create different dynamics within your act.
Mm-hmm.
It made me, as you were saying that, it made me think of the album that you selected for your favorite album, which is none other than
Yeah, Abbey Road.
the Beatles classic.
Love it. And my favorite song is the Harrison.
Here Comes the Sun.
Yep.
Yeah, that is a beautiful song. Was he your favorite of the Beatles?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had there were a lot of levels to George.
Yeah. Someone I wish I could have met.
Yeah. I would hear of him in Australia because he lived in Australia for a while on
Really?
Hamilton Island.
All
He
right.
had like this sort of Tahitian style house that on there, and I remember when this is long after he passed. I went there to have a look to see the house, but it was kind of in disrepair at the time. No one was living there. It was,
Right.
Yeah, but it's but I always warmed to George. He was. I remember the day I was living in Vegas, the day he died. Yeah, hearing about that. Hey, have you read his biography? They did a biography last year that came out like 2 years ago.
I haven't.
Oh, it's great. Yeah,
I'll check it
it's a
out.
great insight into him.
A couple of years ago, my wife and I did a show in Blackpool, England,
Yeah.
and a friend of ours, another magician named Paul Stone, who grew up in Liverpool, took us to Liverpool
Great.
to show us
The cabin.
where the Beatles grew up
Great.
and all their different haunts. You know, like he could just drive around town and he knew that's where, there's the gravestone that they found Eleanor Rigby on. Here's Penny Lane.
Yeah.
Here's the bus stop that they used to go to go to school.
Yeah.
So that they would all like congregate
Mill around.
at this bus stop.
That's great.
And here's their houses. And drove us to their houses and stuff. Really cool.
Yeah, to see the context, like that, to see Penny Lane and see those sort of things that have been mythologized in the Beatles world.
Yeah.
So I love doing that, going around and seeing places that, that's where so-and-so was. And I remember I did that in St. Louis once. I went to the, where Tennessee Williams lived. And what he based the Glass Menagerie on. So where the apartment was, and
Wow.
with the staircase, and the cinema that he would go to, and just to walk the streets and see those sites that these greats have gone to,
Sure.
or have written about.
Yeah. I have a bunch of kind of heroes.
Yeah.
And that was probably the best part about doing a North American tour with the Illusionists, is that it took us close to a lot of different things that I would normally never go out of my way to find that.
Sure.
And I'm looking at the schedule, going, oh my God, that's Mark Twain lived there. And I'm like, we gotta, and your schedule is pretty tight with these, one-nighters. And I go, well, we don't have to do lighting until 1 in the afternoon. So that morning I'm going to Mark Twain's house.
Fantastic.
And I could be in the room where he wrote Huck Finn.
Yeah.
He made a lot of really cool things in that house. Little like intercom systems that this is, but it's like an air tube going down to another like little phone thing. And
Equivalent to 2 tin cans with a string.
yeah, and he could, had one end going into his daughter's bedroom, so, he could like have this mysterious voice talk to his kids,
Oh. That's great.
Yeah, and he had a lot of great parties that he threw in that house, and
Yeah.
with other big writers and other celebrities of the day, and so that was a lot of fun. And
But to be in the country though, where like for me, I like in Australia, I get like little kind of breadcrumbs, like Mark Twain came to Australia in 1894 on a speaking tour, and he stayed at this place, Craig's Royal Hotel in Ballarat,
Right.
which was a big gold mining town back in the day. But I called up my agent and said, that's the hotel we got to stay at. So
wow.
I went and stayed in the same hotel, and
get the same room.
I asked what the room was, and they got no record of what room it
Right.
was. But I think it was a room, would have been like the room with the turret, and so I went into that room and went up to the top of it and looked all around. And then he was doing a talk just around the corner at the Mechanics Association Club. And so I went and walked down to there and had a look at where the old venue was that he...
Right.
Because in my book, Mark Twain was like the first touring stand-up comedian.
Right.
He'd get up there and do these hilarious. Like, I remember reading a review about one of his spoken word evenings. People were rolling in the aisles.
Sure.
So he toured the world doing that.
Yeah.
And I always thought too with Mark Twain it was fascinating because he travelled the world just pre-industrial revolution. So you're going to places, going to Tangiers and going to these places untouched by this big development, and that would have been the time to travel the world. It would have been like time to just seeing it from generations before without it being sort of industrialized.
I was in London one time, and a friend of mine is he's a magician now, but he was a physiologist from London. Like Billy. Billy was a
McCone.
doctor.
Yes.
And he quit being a doctor to be a comedy magician. There's a few of them. Steve Bedwell, a friend of mine.
All right.
Who, went to medical school, became a physiologist, and after a few years decided, I'm not feeling the love here, so I want to do comedy magic for a living. So
that's great.
He did, and he knew I was in London, and he said, hey, I know you like weird stuff. Do you want to see the Elephant Man? And I go, fuck yeah, I want to see the Elephant Man. So he says he's in the London hospital where Steve used to work, and he said they used to have a tour in the basement, but it was too much trouble, so they just they keep the collection there, and they have a curator there, but it's not open to the public anymore. So he goes, but I know the guy, and he'll let us in. So this we go down to across the street from the London hospital is a little area where it was kind of like a little shopping area. I mean, we're talking 150 years ago, and there was a place. So now it's a little store that sells Indian dresses, saris.
Right.
And that's the place where the little carnival was, where the students from the medical center there, from the hospital, went and saw that little carnival thing, and they saw the Elephant Man. And they got the doctor, the head of the hospital, to come and take a look, and he coaxed him out and gave him a place to live in the top of the London hospital. He had an apartment up there. And if you watch the movie with John Hurt, it's really exact, like the hat that he wore with the little eye thing that you could see through, and the little repair on the edge of that, where it started to tear, but he fixed it. It's exact.
Really?
I saw the real one, and it looks just like the one in the movie. I mean, they were spot on with the details.
I gotta watch. I remember seeing that movie when I was a kid. I gotta watch that again.
Yeah, it's a heartbreaking movie.
Yes.
And so he's his skeleton is there. I mean, in a glass box, and so they must have some method for preserving it. They must have boiled it, or something. I don't know what, but and the curator's saying, you have a look at these albums, So we've got these albums on it going. These are the most amazing, and they're physiological albums. They're medical books. They're medical albums and you can see him standing in this position, and then this position, and then standing in this position. You can see. How his hip was fused, and he couldn't walk very well, and just the bony deposits on his skull that made his head shaped the way it was. And so he's standing there naked. Yeah. And I go, these are the most amazing photographs I've ever seen. And he goes, those aren't photographs, those are hand drawn.
Really?
Yeah. Photography was too expensive back then.
Wow.
So they had people that could draw
lifelike,
exact, like a photograph.
Wow.
And then his clothes were there, and the guy was super nice with me. He knew I was freaking eating this up. Yeah. And I knew a lot of the history of him, and and he said, one time Michael Jackson wanted to buy the skeleton.
I remember that as a kid hearing that.
Yeah. And he said, we told him to piss off. So then he said, Michael came back with a second offer and said, if you let me buy him now, when I die, I'll give you his skeleton and my skeleton back. And they said, piss off. So could you imagine trying to get Michael Jackson's skeleton away from his family?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So then, as I'm about ready to leave, I thank the guy so much, for making my day, and he let me take pictures of everything.
Oh, wow!
And
so you got photos of it?
Yeah, and then I said, I know I shouldn't ask this, but can I touch his skull? And he goes, yeah, okay.
Oh,
and he opened the door, and I go, think I got to touch John Merrick right there.
Wow, that's great. So you've been one-on-one with him.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
London was actually very cool because there's a guy there, a hero of mine, a magical hero, a guy named David Devant.
Oh yeah.
Who created
yeah,
a lot of
yeah.
amazing stuff and really revolutionized a lot of stuff around the early 20th century. And I had another friend that knew where he was buried, so we went to Highgate Cemetery and found his grave site. And it's in the old section, not in the new section.
Okay.
It's so once the old section is really kind of let go.
But I imagine it would be. I'm picturing something very haunting, kind of. You know,
It's scary in daylight. I mean, I wouldn't go there at night. I mean, it's scary even in the day. I mean, it's like, you've got little stone steps that are kind of like that,
Yeah.
and vines and moss, and it's just it's a.
When you think of a frightening graveyard, that's
it's
what
200 to 300 years old.
Yeah.
And so he said, they keep the new half nice because it's like all the more modern celebrities are there.
And they're getting regular visitors. Who's visiting 300 years, except for people like us?
Yeah.
That would.
Yeah. So I got to go find Devant's gravesite, and we cleaned it off, and
Nice.
and I took photos there, and got to commune with Devant a little bit, and it's like if I have a magical problem, I'm trying to figure out how to do something, I'll go to sleep and I go, how would Devant fix this?
Right.
And then just go to sleep.
Yeah.
And
Wake up the
let
next
it work.
morning. Thank you.
Yep.
There it is. I'll just nab that.
And it was the new section's got like Rod Stewart's parents.
Sure.
Karl Marx,
Yeah. Sure. Sure.
But but the old place had a lot of, and I asked the groundskeeper there, I go, how can you work here? What's the scariest part? And he goes, back in the day, they used to seal them up in like a copper box, the bodies, and then put it in the casket. And he goes, after some time, things are kind of turning to gel in there, and the air's expanding inside, and every once in a while you'll hear a copper box bust its seam,
Oh yeah, sure, that makes sense.
Because that'll get your attention.
Yeah, hearing it from 6 feet under. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting when you were just saying before about Billy McComb and studying medicine. I remember him telling me because his parents really want, because as you would know, his dad was one of the pioneers of the X-ray, and that's what ended up costing him his life with exposure.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, to exposure to radiation.
Sure.
And but they really wanted Billy to be. They always hammered it in Billy. You have to become a doctor.
Yeah.
And I remember him telling me about in World War II when he was a medical student dealing with all of the the casualties that they'd bring down into the subway tunnels, into the underground. And he just said, at the end of that, I had seen enough blood for one lifetime.
Sure.
It's time to take off and become,
Be happy.
Yeah, make people
do something.
Yeah,
happy.
yeah. And I remember him telling me he was on the same bill as the Beatles.
Wow.
Yeah, and he had signed stuff from him because they were getting
Got some
heat.
swag.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I remember, and I don't know where it was, but he had it in his apartment in Hollywood. The signed photo of all the boys.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, but that album, like when you were younger when you first heard that album, and it had a big impact on you when you first,
Yeah. And I as the older I got, the more it grew on me.
The appreciation, yeah.
My wife loves them, so
Yeah.
I hear it in the house all the time.
Great.
Yeah.
But I remember, when I was a kid hearing that album for the first time, and it, just.
But so many people that I talk to, they're like, yeah, Lennon's great, McCartney's great, but I really like George.
Oh, yeah. But I really love Ringo's stuff, Act naturally. I've never heard it done like that before. He just had a way, just his phrasing. I think Ringo, that was his
Did you
strong
ever hear that
point.
radio interview? Somebody asked, the four Beatles are there, and forgot how it goes.
Was this the question to John about Ringo?
Yeah.
He goes, is he
the best drummer?
He goes, is he the best drummer in the world? He goes, best drummer in the world is not even the best drummer in the band.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. Yeah, but there's a book that I bought years ago called Postcards from the Boys, and Ringo kept all the postcards from over the years. And when he left the band, or he wasn't in the band, and because he thought, they don't respect me, they don't want me in the band, and I think John had written something going, I thought that's how everyone felt about me, and then this thing, please come back, Ringo, we love you, we miss you, the band ain't the Beatles without you, and so there was this, underlining mutual respect that they, and also Ringo was the gun back in the day in terms of drummers. Like they wanted Ringo. He was he was an older guy, and he was like that's who they wanted. So that so sorry Pete, you're out of the band, and Ringo's actually the best. So brought him in. But it's interesting dynamic. Like did you see the Let It Be documentary that came out just a few years ago? The Peter Jackson one. And
that was amazing.
Yeah,
maybe it's a long, multiple sittings.
Yeah, but just to be that fly on the wall, taking that in was incredible. And what was interesting in George's biography, which made sense, because during that time, John had got into heroin. So him and Yoko were doing heroin together. And watching that, knowing that, yeah, of course he is. Look at him. He's like, he's not invested in this. And it's like, decisions are being made, and he's kind of taken a backseat to it all. And George, in that biography, George was in an interview, or he's telling someone about, there's footage out there of this. It was like a European TV station that was interviewing John at the time. And he's just sort of out of it in the interview, but he just turns and just spews into a trash can, and then comes back to the interview because he was coming down off, the effects of the heroin. So it's but that's never been seen. I've never seen that footage, but according to George, that footage
exists.
Is out there. But it would have been so hard on George in that band, though. Under the thumb of Lennon McCartney, and he was younger than them, so that stayed with it. Like, that's how they treated him, as the younger kid,
junior partner.
Yeah. But so many great songs that George wrote for the Beatles at that time, that like All Things Must Pass. You hear that on the demo tapes, and the fact that they, Paul, I think it was sort of, disregarded it. That's why I think when they went solo, the best. I think George had the best first solo album out of the gates. So, great work from Lennon and McCartney, but that double album of all these songs that he had ready to roll from the Beatles. But the Here Comes the Sun, just such a beautiful piece.
Yeah, makes me happy.
Yeah. and it's a great philosophy to it too. It's like there's dark times and there's icy times, but it's going to thaw out. Here it comes.
Yeah. I did a show with Yoko Ono once.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, she's. What was it? It was some TV show in L.A. or not in London, and her and some soccer player that I don't know, and Vin Diesel were on the panel, the guests.
Eclectic mix.
Yeah, and me.
Yeah.
So they asked me to do the operation, so I'm looking at the panel, and so I got to spend the time with these guys in the green room, and Yoko was really a bitch.
Oh, really?
She's just a terrible person.
Oh.
She was so demanding to the the staff behind backstage, and I'm just going, what's wrong with her? And I haven't spent any time in her shoes, so I don't know if she's got health issues or whatever, but having a bad day. But she was really rude, and like Vin Diesel, much bigger star than Yoko, much better talent than Yoko. And he was the sweetest guy ever.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's good to hear.
And so I have to choose one of them to help me in the operation. Like after I cut the person and they check the pulse and they have to grab, the spectator. And so I'm looking at the it's that moment of truth, and I've got to pick somebody. And so I don't go for Yoko because she's a bitch.
Yeah.
Right? and I get Vin Diesel up there. And I go, and here's this big macho guy with big muscles, and I go check the pulse. There's somebody that's cut in half on this table, and normally it's somebody who's like afraid and they don't want it, and he's just like, and he's kind of like, and he does it, and he's just kind of like, does a more of a surprise than a frightening feeling. He's just like, oh, like the thing's alive.
Yeah, yeah.
And
which works great.
which worked.
That dynamic.
It worked great,
Yeah,
and he did it great. And but Yoko was just so demanding. She was like, I want to be on first, and I want to get out of this place first, and
That's disappointing.
Yeah. And Vin was like, switch her with my slot.
Yeah.
I'm
I'll
okay
hang around
to do whatever.
Yeah. It's funny because you hear everything about Yoko from over the years, and I've always like tried to think like, oh, she was put in that position, and the Beatles were gonna break up anyway,
Sure.
but when hearing that kind of it does verify other things that you hear,
Yeah, and she, and she's really old. I was thinking, I don't want to give her a heart attack.
We're going to be checking her pulse shortly.
Yeah, and I could be the guy that killed the lady that broke up the Beatles.
That's weird. The guy in half, he survived, but Yoko, man, it all got too much for her.
Yeah.
Did you ever see any of them live?
No, I haven't.
No. The first time I saw Paul was here I think I got the night off from Jonathan. So he knew what a huge Beatles fan I am, as well as I'm like, I got to see Paul, and he's like, all right, go on, And it was at the MGM, and it was interesting because people from all different generations. This was over 20-something years ago, but it was like a party. Just hearing hit after hit. And it got to the point everyone was dancing in the aisles. The security guards were dancing in the aisles. It was like a real party atmosphere.
Wow.
Just to watch a Beatle like that, just one after the other. I would have loved to have seen George, though. He's like the footage that I see of his concerts, always look great. And just to see his later stuff too, like the Cloud 9 material that he did later in his career.
I was surprised to find out he gave money to make Monty Python's
The
movies.
Life of Brian.
Yeah.
They said the most expensive movie ticket ever purchased.
Yeah.
And they said, why did you give all that money? He goes, I just wanted to see it.
I wanted to see the product made.
Yeah. Well, the Beatles, Abbey Road was a great selection.
Yeah.
And the next great selection that we have is your favorite film.
Big Fish. Yeah, this is a great movie. And if you've never seen it, try to see it. It's about a guy who's lives a larger than life, life. Everything's bigger and better, and his son thinks that it's all just a tall tale until he finally realizes he actually did all that stuff. It's just a little embellished.
Yeah.
Just a little.
Yeah.
But,
It's beautiful.
all the people were real, and it's very very touching.
It is. I hadn't seen it since it came out, and then just when I watched it recently, it's like I was getting choked up at the end. It's like a really, it's a beautiful film, and it's got so many, sure, there's embellishments, but the core is there of the stories, which makes it also truthful.
Yeah.
And it's a great lesson so many great lessons in life from it. I found too.
And this has inspired me in a few ways too. Like, I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm actually related to P.T. Barnum.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's by marriage, so there's no blood, but I'm on the tree, so I'll take it anyway. So, so I studied him a lot after. So it was my grandmother on my father's side who would tell me, even as a kid, before I showed any interest in magic or anything, we're related to P.T. Barnum. And before she passed, I said, how exactly are we related? And she told me. She goes, we're related to this family, and they're related to Barnum, and it's through PT's second daughter, Helen, is how we're related to him. So, and it's funny because I've had a lot of the same affinities, that Barnum had. He had Tom Thumb. I had Antonio.
Yes.
And I just like strange, unusual people.
Yes.
And vibes, and I kind of like the sideshow / circus kind of vibe. Not necessarily all of it, but I enjoy that part of that art direction and that music sometimes, and so Big Fish has some of that because it talks about a circus in the
circus
movie,
world,
and the freak world a little bit, and so it hit me on a lot of levels, and I actually created an illusion that was inspired by this movie that hasn't seen the light of day yet, but it's basically an homage to. It's like a quick, love letter to P.T. Barnum,
right?
About certain things, and I. It's all done in shadow play.
Right.
So it's a big scene just using shadows and silhouettes of people to talk about P.T.'s life in a chunk of theater, So I'm anxious to get that.
That sounds great.
Up on stage,
especially having the family personal connection to it. Like, come on, it's got all the elements there.
So I was online one time searching for a antique steamer trunk hardware. I was Googling that and looking at different people that restore old steamer trunks, and sometimes they have interesting leads on hardware, or a trunk is disintegrated, but they still have the hardware. And this guy said, I've just restored Helen Barnum's steamer trunk, Camelback steamer trunk, and there were pictures of it and all that, and I called him up and I go, you still have that trunk? He goes, well, it's not mine. I just restored it for the owner, but here's the email to the owner if you want to call him. So I contacted him, and he said, yeah, I got it at an auction, and I have no connection to it. So
that's what you want to hear?
So it's all yours if you want it, and so I paid him for it, and so now I have some old family luggage.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah, I'll show it to you.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. Yeah. Wow. This sounds like the perfect premise for a routine there, because you're storytelling, but in a way that's so personal to you.
Yeah.
And in an intimate way to communicate the story through the shadows. And yeah, that's great. Oh, I can't wait to see that. But the thing that I love about that film too is it focuses on the humanity of all these people.
Yeah.
No matter who you are, whether you're seemingly normal or a freak or each person, they have a real humanity to them.
Absolutely.
And it's a beautiful way of showing, we're, no matter how we look or how we're perceived, all of us has a heart, a soul, and we all mean something to someone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the actors are great, and the writers are great.
The cast in it is phenomenal. Well, Albert Finney is fantastic, and
yeah, Danny DeVito is great.
Yeah, Danny, and you know one of the actors in it.
My friend George the Giant. He's the small giant in the movie. So he's from the sideshow world, and he lives in California, and has his own little sideshow museum. So if you ever want to,
whereabouts is that?
I think near Sacramento.
Okay.
Yeah.
In that area.
Yeah.
And did you know him when he was making the film? Like, did he tell you that, hey, I'm doing this Tim Burton film? And
I knew him before, and I think as soon as it came out, he let me know that he was, go see that movie.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, he's a cool guy, very sweet guy.
Yeah, but it's great that you're connected with that world as well. With your show, like from years ago, like the people that I got to know through who you work with, like Louis and Arturo, and just these characters from a whole nother world too. Like like talking to Louis about his growing up in Compton and back when Compton was Compton.
Little gangster.
Yeah, he was.
West Side.
That's it. And just getting to meet people like that, and they're just like us, essentially, that's like maybe a few differences, but just hanging out and like walking around like with little Louis here, and him having just this dark sense of humor, and Arturo, picking me up and taking me for lunch to this. I remember this Mexican restaurant that he used to. I don't know where it is anymore, but this Mexican restaurant we used to go and have lunch at and be hanging out. But you'd forget just hanging out in public, walking around with them. People are giving weird looks. I'm like, what the fuck? Oh yeah, okay, that's right. Yeah, I'm walking along with someone who's the height of mini-me.
Right. Did you ever hear the gag that Gazzo did when he was filling in or opening for Jonathan?
What was that? Which one?
So I'm backstage with Louis, right?
Yeah.
And Gazzo says, look, Louis, I want you to do something for me in the middle of my act, all right? So I want you to sit at that table right there, and Kevin, you sit there next to him. And Gazzo said, I'm just going to start slagging on little people, right? I'm just going to like every midget joke I know, and I'm just going to like, and then he goes, after a certain moment, I'll kind of look over to the table and Kevin, I want you to help Louis get up on top of the table, and then I'm going to have a spotlight thrown on you, and I want you to go, man, you suck. Fuck you. You suck. So it was just like fighting between
to
him.
And fro. Oh, that's
fighting
great.
between Gazzo and Louis.
Oh, that's great.
Louis stood like this high.
Yeah.
So put him up on the table and make sure he didn't fall. But he was, oh God, I peed
That's
myself.
fantastic. But Louis would always be great, like, getting humor out of his height. Like, we'd be walking along and go, Joel, have a look at this. He goes, hey, pick me up. And someone would bend down to pick him up. And you would think, oh yeah, he's a little guy. He's not going to, he was he was like made of mercury.
Yeah.
You'd see somebody, God, and he would be hysterical. The high-pitched laugh. Come on, let's go.
He had a great laugh.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember. Do you remember when we did the Halloween show when Jonathan themed it like Halloween, and it was and I remember Arturo would come running out like dressed as like a mini werewolf or something or other, and God, you couldn't get away with stuff like that. Like, I remember there was a movie called Blackula. He was a black Dracula, and it would and the crazed black lady would be running down like the hallway of like some insane asylum or something, but then she would could be running towards the camera, but then out of the screen would come Penny with the like afro in total blackface, running down through the audience, But people would be in hysterics singing, but God, to think back,
Yeah.
But I remember
They're hard to explain in some neighborhoods, right?
The what?
Kind of hard to explain in some neighborhoods.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So I remember Arturo would come running out, and he would then be then Tony Reed, who is in the show, he would come running out and grab him, and then I would hold the door open. But I remember both of them fell, and I had my hand between the wall and the door, and just crammed. You can still see I've still got a scar on my hand where it just crushed my hand into the door handle and the wall. But it's like the show must go on,
Right.
So, and this was all pre-show shenanigans, like running through.
Just a flesh wound.
Yeah, just it'll heal, just a flesh wound, not a problem. Where are you going? Another great film, it was like mayhem that we would create in that theatre before the show, and we would be running through the audience with chainsaws going. You could smell the smoke of the chainsaws, with the lights would go out, and then there'd be lights on the end of the chainsaws, and people like literally screaming, like, God, what we would get away with. Not today.
Took the blades off though. Right?
Yeah, the blades were off, but no one knew though. People were like, screaming. Yeah, that was back in the day when you could get away with with a lot.
Did you ever meet Antonio, the other?
No, I
little
never
guy?
met Antonio. No, I always heard of Antonio, who was brilliant. I saw footage of Antonio and him doing the little Chaplin routine.
Yeah.
It was like watching a miniature version of Chaplin. Like he had the mannerisms and
Yeah.
everything down.
We did a show in Japan one time, and we're in some elevator, and it's like a pretty large elevator. You could put like 20 or 25 people in there.
Yeah.
And he's not good with crowds, because he's this 4 feet high,
Sure,
right?
sure, understandably.
So we're all like packed in the middle like sardines in this elevator. Like, really, you're not gonna wait for the next one, But they're cramming in, right? and we're in Japan, we're in Tokyo. And
They like to cram into
Yeah.
elevators and subway. Yeah.
Yeah. So I go, hey, Antonio, what's the name of that book you're writing? And he goes, I think I'm going to call it The Whole World Smells Like Ass to Me. and you could instantly tell who spoke English and who didn't.
That's great. That's fantastic.
It was so funny. And some guy goes, you made me laugh so hard I missed my floor.
But you like watching the old footage of you two on stage, doing the Chaplin act, like inspired that act. It was brilliant. I remember seeing it for the first time back in Australia. It was on one of those, I don't know, World's Greatest Magic or one of those, shows from back in the day. And it was, I was just thinking, man, that's like the perfect routine. It's got all the elements to it, like the comedic element to it. Clearly the magic element to it, but the dynamic of you creating this living doll.
So I met him when I first moved to California back in like '81.
Right.
And we were both working a nightclub, kind of a chaotic dinner theater, and it was called Crackers.
Right.
And it's kind of like the place where you would take a bunch of people if it's somebody's birthday. 'Cause
Okay.
It's a big
Yes.
party, right?
Yeah.
And half the room is a bar, so everybody's getting shit-faced over here. And the other half is a restaurant, and the waiters and waitresses, they'll stop what they're doing and jump on stage and do a quick number and then back down.
Okay.
But they hired a bunch of other people that were just entertainers, just professional entertainers. So they had a 5-piece band, and it was a very small stage in the middle of the room. And so you were surrounded 360 by tables, and a little stairs that went down to the floor. The stage was, 4 feet high.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was another stairwell that went up to a balcony that was 360. So you had tables around you all the way up there.
Man, talk about sight lines.
Good training ground. So the dressing room was up the tall stairs and then back into the back room.
So there's no backstage.
No, you had a little hallway back there
Okay.
with makeup tables and stuff.
Okay.
So you had to carry your act down, join the band because they're playing your intro music, join the band. You got a microphone down there. You got like 3 minutes or 4 minutes to knock them out and then get your ass back up the stairs.
Carry all your stuff back up.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you had people like looking up from the sides, looking down from the sides, and it's
like in the round almost.
Yeah,
like
it was in the round. And it was tough training grounds. You had to really be specific with your material. And I met Antonio there, and his only job was he was a 4 foot tall little ex-circus clown who really loved Chaplin and really got the character down. And his only job was to walk around and just have fun with people, just like
as Chaplin.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So he'd walk around and walk up to your table, and he had lots of moves and little bits and gags, and I just saw how instantly people connected to him and fell in love with this little guy. And I didn't hire him because he was short. I hired him because he had this instant connection with the public. They fucking loved him.
Yeah.
It was just, they wanted to take him home, you know? And so then I was working with him for like 2 years before I said, we should work on an act together. We should work on some material. And he's like, fine, whatever. And then he said, I was in a magic act before. And I go, really? Do I know the guy? And he goes, Siegfried and Roy.
Do I know the guy?
And they used to shrink Roy down to a little mini Roy.
Oh, yeah.
And he was that guy.
He was Mini Roy.
Yeah.
Ah, wow.
So he's on 2 or 3 TV specials.
Yeah,
that they did.
sure.
And he was with them when they were at the Stardust in the 70s.
Right. So he knew magic. He knew how to.
Kind of.
Yeah.
He knew.
He knew how to fit in a box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I had to figure out, how do I get this interesting character on stage in some magical way? You know, I just don't want him to walk
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'd seen him stand in the corner of Crackers before, just really still, and people think it's a little statue. And then he walks by and moves, and they shit themselves. And so I said, you know, he just doesn't look real because he's got a stylized makeup and his height.
Yeah, you got the makeup, which will match. Yes.
So you don't have to match flesh tones, you know, like if you get too much sun one day, now you don't match the fake head.
Sure.
So so I did a live cast of him and created this little box thing where we could switch him out, but there's some really clever moves inside about, you know, so it's a headless body, and I put the head in at the last moment. And
I remember the head pops off and rolls forward. I remember that.
Yeah, and that's when the switch happens.
Yes.
And
Yeah, because you had the banner, and you're showing the chaplain doll, and that's great.
And so that's how that trick came to being, because I had a problem to solve. How do I get this really interesting little guy? And then not only does he just come to life, he does a perfect impersonation of Chaplin.
Yes.
So now it's like, what?
Yes.
So he was a great partner. He worked with me for like 34 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, that's you know, testament to a great dynamic, you know.
Yeah. There was a little period of time when he needed a little break, so that's when Arturo would come in.
Arturo came in, right.
That's when you met Arturo.
Yeah, because, like I said, I just remember seeing that Chaplin routine for the first time. I was going, man, this is spectacular. It was great.
And then he had another character in the show where he was a cleaning guy.
I remember that. Did you do like a levitation? Oh, no, I'm sorry, a suspension?
Yeah, with his cleaning
That's
products.
That's right, yes, I remember that.
And a mop and feather duster and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
right.
suck him into a vacuum cleaner, and he would come out with Don King hair, and you know, and I'd pick him up by his nose.
That's right. Yeah,
carry him off stage.
Oh, I got to look all that up again. I remember watching that back in the day. Well, it would be on YouTube, right?
I did it on the Paul Daniels show. I think that's on YouTube.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and for anyone watching or listening to this too, Kevin's stuff. Yeah, if you haven't seen it, you gotta check it out on YouTube.
But you have to type in Kevin James Magic.
Magic.
Because Kevin James, the actor, goes there first.
You know, that's funny. That reminds me. Years ago, I remember talking to Jonathan on the phone, and he was because when I was living in Australia, you know, Jonathan gave me his number, and I was like, mild harassment. I'd always call him and check in.
Professional stalker.
Yeah. But he willingly gave me his phone number, so I'd call him up, and I remember him telling me, he goes, I'm going to the Hermosa Beach Comedy Magic Club. I'm going to go see Kevin James tonight. I'm like, wow, Kevin, because I knew your stuff from TV in Australia. I'm like, Kevin James, you're going to see him live? Oh, fantastic, great. And then afterwards, I remember talking to him, going, how was the show? And he goes, it's the wrong fucking Kevin James. He goes, it's a comedian, Kevin. The actor, fuck.
I didn't want to see that shit.
He goes, I go there to see Kevin doing his magic, and then I end up seeing Kevin doing stand-up. The wrong one.
Yeah. Mike Lacey, the owner of that club, called me up one day and said, are you available these dates? And I go, nah, I'm sorry, I can't. He goes, shit, because I want to do the Kevin James show.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, nice. Yeah. That's a great club. I haven't been there since back in the day, but I always remember that you'd get so many great acts coming through.
Oh, it's still a great club.
I remember when Gary Shandling was on, and he was testing out material for the... he was hosting the Emmys that year.
All right.
And I remember just watching from the wings, watching him and thinking, wow, this is fantastic. I'm getting to see Gary Shandling work I remember him coming off, and he just came up to me and he goes, how was that? What did you think of this joke? Was that all right? I'm thinking, you're Gary Shandling. You're asking me.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, but it was testament to a great comic. That's what it's like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to know what the audience didn't like.
Yeah.
Not what they liked.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that was and just a great. There's always so many great comics that I saw for the first time in that room. Yeah. Do you still play it? Do you?
No, I haven't in a while, but I'm still friends with the owner, Mike Lacey.
Yeah.
back in the day, I used to play it a lot because I
Sure.
lived close to it. And one time, and Mike Lacey, the owner, was so cool. He did a lot of charity work and stuff. And he goes, Kevin, you want to help me this Christmas? We're going to go to some hospitals with some sick kids, and
Oh, nice.
and I want you to help out. And I want you to be like Santa's helper. I got a Santa already. I want you to be Santa's helper. And I go, yeah, sure, count me
Yeah.
in. So I went, and fucking Santa was Harry Anderson.
That's great. Harry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never saw Harry live. I would have.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah. I remember Jonathan telling me about when he started off doing street performing. It was towards the tail end of Harry doing street performing. And how Jonathan was like, I just emulated Harry. Like, I remember he goes, look, I did. And he showed me photos. Jonathan's there in a top hat with round glasses and on the street, you know, when he first started, he was like, Harry was the man, you know?
Yeah.
So literally, emulated him out of the gates. Yeah, but I remember his book that he wrote.
Wise guy.
Yeah, Wise Guy. I remember reading that like way back when. It was great.
Yeah.
But it's great, like you talk about that Room Crackers playing that. You know, I assume how long did you perform there? How many?
3 or 4 years. It was
Okay, so
It was right between Disneyland and Knott's, so I was trying to work both.
yeah.
And it was just it wasn't great money, but it was a good training
I
ground.
was going to say that training ground is invaluable to perform in a venue like that where you're going to have drunk people, you're going to have bachelorette parties, you're going to have these
Interruptions.
Yeah. And under those circumstances too, for a magic act to be performed when you've got sight lines like that, you're having to bring your props down, take them back up a staircase with you. You got a band behind you. You got like that sort of training ground is invaluable.
Yeah.
So wherever you like, you know. And you can kind of see that with certain performers that have, you know, played those kind of venues. So when you see them in a theatre environment, it's like, no, they got the edge here over, over someone who hasn't had that experience.
My closer was I'd get a guy from the audience and have him sit on a stool and take his jacket and light a cigarette and put it in the thing, and all the smoke's coming out, and then his jacket's okay, and I'd say, go down the stairs, and thanks for helping, go down the stairs, and I'd pull out a live duck out of his jacket. So
Oh,
I'm
nice.
holding the duck
What
with
an
one
ending,
hand, and
yeah.
it's flapping,
Yeah.
and toss him the jacket, and give him a big round of applause, right? And I set the duck on the stool, and facing upstage, and I would stroke his back, and he would like wiggle his tail, and it got a big laugh.
Yeah.
And then I turn around, take the duck, and then kiss him on the top of his head, and then rip his head off, throw it up in the air, catch it, and stick it back on, and now he's back alive and flapping his wings, and got a huge reaction.
God, what a closer.
And it was the first time people would come back afterwards and go, yeah, you're the guy that ripped the head off the duck, yes. And so I tried to find moments that would, producing a bird is great. Big, you can't imagine that they can be in such a small load space. And then they open up and they're, whoa, and then so it's big and flashy, and then but then you get the cute moment of wiggling the tail, and I didn't know, I just figured that out by accident.
Well, you're just patting one day and notice the
Every time I
tail
would
wag.
stroke his back, he
tail.
would, and
On cue.
it was automatic,
Great.
and I don't know why, and so I put that in so it was like a wow, big ending, you set him down, and then a little cute moment, he's there, he's his pet,
Yeah.
and then completely opposite direction and shock and like, what the fuck? Okay, now he's back and he's okay.
Thank you, good night.
Yeah.
With the bird.
Yeah, run up the stairs with the bird, and
That's a showstopper.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just as you're saying, that reminded me of Jonathan telling me about when Kozak was doing a TV show, and he was doing the dove appearance, and he was loaded with the doves. Now the way that he was told it was going to happen is he does the performance, comes and sits down and does the chat. Mm-hmm. But they wanted it the other way around, so it was live TV, and they brought him over to the couch, and he's like, and he just sat down, and he just heard.
Oh no! Just the life squished out of his.
Yeah.
bird.
Yeah, so, well, we ain't doing the dove act.
Yeah, I love cows.
So the final favorite that we have,
Uh-oh.
which is Jarrett.
Yeah, it's kind of a, so this guy, his name is Guy Jarrett. He was an illusion designer and inventor. He was not a performer, really.
Right.
From the 1920s and 30s. He he designed illusions for Broadway shows back then and all the big magicians of his day. And he had he was light years ahead of his time as far as really the technical design of illusions. He really pushed the envelope farther than everybody else. Like, he was a master of stealing inches where inches counted. You know, like when you're designing some sort of space to hide a person, he was able to just get it to just the bare minimum, you know, where it can be. And the problem is you couldn't put anybody in that thing, in that space. You had to be a little waif of a girl,
Specific size.
Yeah, and or be super flexible, or but he thought it was worth it to get somebody that could do it, and it just makes everything more amazing.
Sure.
Can you see that wooden box on the shelf right there?
Yes, the trunk.
Yeah, it says Jarrett
Girl
in Fishbowl. So that's a trick that Jarrett made for a Broadway show.
So there's a girl in a fishbowl.
Yeah.
Produced out of the fishbowl.
No, she's just
floating around in there.
She's just in there living and talking and yeah. But anyway, that's like the one like piece of magic that I have from this guy. I mean, I liked the way he thought so much. I named my son after.
Oh wow! Yeah.
I mean, I used his last name as my son's first name.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just and he wasn't. A lot of times you can see like in magic magazines, people reviewing shows, and everything's fucking roses. You know, this is the best show I've ever seen. This and that. This guy told you the truth.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, that was a pile of horseshit, steaming pile of horseshit, and I'll tell you why. You know, and he.
So it's constructive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he could probably fix it.
Yeah.
You know, but,
yeah. Right.
But he wasn't about sugarcoating anything.
Sure.
It was like,
this is what needs to be done.
yeah, you want the craft to go forward. You know, pay attention and be real.
Yeah.
You know,
And so you're
don't be politically correct.
Yeah. So you're like, so when I come and see your show and I tell you it's dog shit, I'm helping you.
Yeah.
All right? I'm carrying on the Jared approach to criticism, to critiquing.
Yeah.
And did you ever meet him?
No, he passed before I was born.
Ah.
But this was written by so Jarrett.
Yeah. Come on, if he's around the 20s, what am I thinking? Come on, John. Get rid of the math.
Nobody would publish his book, right? So he published it himself. I mean,
why wouldn't they like this? What was the reluctance to publish him?
So, well, magic publishers, wouldn't touch him. He was kind of like kryptonite, to everybody back then, all the big publishers. Right. He bought a little printing press, and he did the hand type, and he, did all the pages, and he, sewed them together, and he made the book.
So he actually
physically made the book.
Do you have any of those books? Oh.
So it's hard to get. Okay. They come up for auction sometimes, and I want to get one. So basically that old book was reproduced by a company called Magic Inc. out of Chicago, and Jay Marshall was kind of in charge of that, and then Jim Steinmeier was genius illusion guy, and he did the annotations in here. So he would give you more insights into Jarrett's mindset and his what really stands out about these illusions. And so I was in France working at the Crazy Horse, and I got invited to a friend's house, and he said, "Oh, I just got a collection I bought an auction, a collection, somebody's collection, and he goes, I know you like Jarrett, and he goes, there's a Jarrett in here, and I haven't opened it up. So he's opening up these boxes of old books that he bought at auction, and there was a Jarrett in there.
Oh.
And I said, can I copy that? So I got a Xerox copy of the original book.
Oh, great.
Oh,
wow.
And so I got, it's the same book, but without the annotations.
So yeah, so it's well diagrammed, and he's he's got all the descriptions.
So that's as close to a real one that I got.
Really?
But they're hard to find.
I'm sure you could find.
And they're expensive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'd imagine if they're handmade and by the man himself, the author.
Yeah.
Well, that's great though that you were able, at least you've got the information.
Yeah. Well, I've got the information here too, but but
it's from the original.
Yeah.
Yeah. And did at what point did you find out about him? Was he someone that inspired you in what you create, or did you?
Yeah, it made me push the limits as far as, let's think beyond what the plans say. Let's just go. Take things as far as you can, and if you need special people to do something, hire the special people.
Yes, to make that work. Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you always have that mindset, when you were younger, to be able to take it beyond what people will usually stop at and go, right, well, that's good enough. You seem to take stuff way beyond which.
I went to live in LA, like 81, and I came from a very small village in Michigan, so there was a little convention in a place called Colon, Michigan.
Colon, Michigan.
Yeah.
Was
Put
it
your own joke in there.
Appropriately named?
Yeah, it was. And as a teenager, that was kind of my training. There was no magic shop or magicians in my town. I mean, zero. So in the beginning, it was me and 6 library books. And,
yes.
And I still have a few of them. Then one of the evening show in Abbott's when I was in high school, a group from Long Beach, California, called the Long Beach Mystics came and did the whole show. Mm-hmm. And here I am watching these guys that were 4 or 5 years older than me, but they were 10 years ahead of me in what they're performing on stage. And I go, I got to drink whatever Kool-Aid they're drinking. So as soon as I could get out, I moved to LA and joined the Long Beach Mystics, joined the Castle Juniors.
Yep.
And so I could go to the Castle and I could see 7 different acts every week. And I quickly realized that, if you're going to make it, you got to be different. Got to be different, because I watch all these acts and learn something from them, even if it's what not to do.
Sure.
And so I have to really focus and do the work and be different. So, and then Jarrett's book came out pretty close to that time. This reprint of his work, and I fell in love with it and saw how far he was taking the art form. And so I, decided I've got to try to come up with new stuff. And a friend from Paris, a guy named Gaetan Bloom, super creative guy. He's like a French national treasure as far as magicians go, and became very close to him. And he taught me how he is, his curiosity is what drives all of his creativity. He's super creative. And in fact, I published a book on Gaetan's work years later. It's a 2-volume set. And he's it's just so many magicians just stop short of a lot of things. I mean, you're never going to get famous if you're a cover band. You gotta.
Although some have.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay.
But you're not going to be revered and remembered in that light. Like, you talk to any magician, you are held in high esteem, Like and you just don't get there from just,
I like to take risks with new material, and the worst thing that can happen is that you go back and rework it,
Yeah.
I mean, I've got illusions here that you need to be a freaking contortionist to get in there and do it, But they're original. There's only one place in the world where you can find that, and that's here.
Yeah.
So that's the whole goal, is to be the only person on the planet where they can find that.
Yeah. But it's funny that you said that, because like you were telling me the other day, like, you go to some venues on some cruise ships and it's set up for your specific trick that so many other magicians can perform.
Yeah.
And you've sold that off, and but it's like your impact on the magic world, bringing your mind and making that available for other magicians, has had such a huge influence on, like, there's like majority of people that have seen a magic act have probably seen someone perform one of your pieces in the act. So to have that influence on the world of magic is like, not only from your own performance, but beyond that to the world of magic, is a major contribution. It's like I always feel that the best magicians make a contribution to the world of magic. They're not taken from it. They've given something to that world. And
well, over the years, like with the illusion, I've been pretty much with the Illusionist for like the last 15 years.
Yeah.
And they really only wanted certain things out of my act, that they were used to. But I kept building and constructing and working on new stuff. Like this illusion here, this moon.
the crescent moon.
I've only tried it once in the Illusionist show.
Right.
And because we were someplace for a long period of time, and it wasn't a hard time to, get the tech involved and try it. But I'm anxious to get some of this new stuff that I've been working on, like, up and running. So I'm happy to be working on a bigger project now, where I can get more of my things,
Fantastic.
in it.
I know you mentioned that the other day, the theatre show that you're planning on taking around the country, and that's, I can't wait to see that. I just see your full, hour, 70-minute show of Kevin James. That's, you ain't going to get any better than that.
Well, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
I just want to have fun.
Yeah. Well, it's good. It still shows, after all these years too, that you still have that, burning, element inside of you. It's inspiring. It's been great having a chat with you today too, mate. I've appreciated you taking the time to sit down, and on this podcast, I only really I have conversations with people that I genuinely want to talk to, and you've been one of those for a long time.
Oh, wow.
I appreciate everything in the past. You like I was saying, there were like people that would do the show with Jonathan, and I always stand out in my mind, those who I have fond memories of, and you're definitely one of those.
I appreciate it.
So thanks, mate. Great to see you again.
Thank you, my friend.